Hey, how's it going everyone? So today I'm going to show you how you can screw up a cuber. Now, if you have a friend who likes to solve cubes or twisty puzzles, no matter how much you mix it up, they will always be able to solve it. So today I'm going to show you 2 or 3 different tricks to make it so where they cannot solve the cube. The methods I'm going to show you today can only be used on a 3x3. I'm not sure about other cubes because they're made differently, but if you can, that works great too. Now, what first comes to mind when people think of this, they think of turning a corner. Because when you turn a corner, the cube looks different when you're trying to solve it. See how there's just one block here? Now if I put it back, you can still solve it, but solving will be kind of weird because the things won't always look the same. But you can still recognize the patterns pretty well. Now, if this is going to work, you're going to need to have a cube that can come apart. I can pull out a corner like that. You're also going to need to pull out an edge for the second method. Okay, so for the first method, you're going to take out a corner and make sure that you remember what that corner is. I'm going to be doing white, orange, and blue. Now, set the cube aside, and you're going to take apart the corner piece. If you can't do that, just move on to the second trick. So I'm going to lay them out how they were, like this. We have orange, blue, white. Now, we're going to switch them. So I'll just switch these two. And now we can put them back together like this. This part can be a little bit hard if you haven't done it before, but it should go pretty smoothly like that. So now, when you put it back on, all the pieces will be mixed up. See? Just like that. So you have white on the top, but now if we turn it, it's still not going to be solved. You can't turn it for it to solve. Now, with this version, unlike the one where you twist the corners, if you twist 2, the cube goes back to normal and it'll still work. But with this one, you can actually do this to several different corners and it will still work. It just makes it harder and harder for the person to solve. But if someone's really good, they should end up being able to solve it. They'll just end up taking the whole cube apart and putting it back together. But this is a really, really good trick to confuse someone. Now I'm just going to attempt to solve it. It's going to be easier because I know which corner is messed up and I know what happened. So it will be a little bit easier. I'm just going to do a time lapse for that. So there's the solved state, and as you can see, this one is still messed up. Now remember, the more corners you mess up, the harder it's going to be for them to be able to solve it. Now the second version is a lot like the first version. It involves taking apart pieces. So I'm going to take out the white and green and the blue and white. Now what we're going to do is we're going to switch the two. So now basically we're going to have a white on a white and a blue on a blue. It's going to be pretty weird. Take it apart like that and put it back. Whoops. Now you're going to mix this up before you give it to the person because then they'll easily see what you've done. There we go. So those are the 2 pieces, and now we're going to mix it up. Okay, now I'm going to put this back on time lapse, and I'll put it back on video if I get stuck or something's weird happening. So already something's weird happening. I can't get the last edge because it's stuck to the other one. So right away they'll notice if you get 2 that are connected. So that'll be pretty hard. They'll just end up taking it apart right there. But I'm just going to keep going. So there's the finished cube. It looks a little bit weirder than usual, but I did end up solving it. Basically what I did is I just filled in this other piece with one of the blue and green corners. So I just like pretended it was yellow, or I mean white, and it ended up solving it. But as you can tell, it's not fully solved. It can never be fully solved unless you take it apart. So that's what they'll end up doing. Now, there's one last method I have for you guys, and that is to just take apart the entire cube and put pieces back all the wrong way and then just mix it up. Me and a friend actually solved a cube like that. It took about 10 minutes, but it was actually really fun because it's really fun, especially if you know how to solve a cube, because you like can tell white doesn't go with white, and there's like a white and yellow, and then a white and yellow. There's like several of the same pieces all next to each other, so it's really weird and it's really fun to solve. But it's actually much harder and much slower than solving a regular cube, and it does involve taking it apart. I'm not going to demonstrate that because I don't want to ruin my cube right now and spend a bunch of time putting it back together, but that is the last method. So that's all for this video. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. And remember, this won't work on everyone because some people are just too good and they'll figure it out pretty quickly. So if you liked it, leave a like, obviously, and comment if you have any questions, as I said before. And I'll see you next time.